Grand Rising, welcome to the Morning Mentor. I believe we need some clarity. I believe we need an explanation. Let me bring clarity to a few things. If you are looking at me right now, do not make the false assumption that the website or the YouTube channel or whatever it is you're looking at me on, that it's mine. It is not. I'm fully aware that a lot of you who really should be sitting down listening to my lessons, instead you just try to find ways to get paid off of my videos. So if you're looking at one of these YouTube pages that doesn't say the official Grandmaster J, this is someone who's lifted my recordings. And I don't mind that, because as long as the message gets to people, I really don't mind. However, if you're one of those people who post nothing but my material, then you better get ready to cut me a check, because I see you, but you need to feature more stuff than mine. Otherwise, your intellectual violation becomes my problem. Did you really think I was going to let you keep that up for long? Stop it. Especially if you don't support us. Right. Find somebody else to eat off of. Those are not my feelings. Additionally, I have something else to say. You don't know anything about the art of distraction, and you go ahead and keep on being distracted. Some of you all don't even understand that the only reason there's all this hubbub on the internet and around the world about, let me back up. I shouldn't insult the world like that. Grand Rising to all my people around the world, because I don't see this happening except one place, in America. Mm-hmm. Everyone who is afraid is in America. Everyone who is acting out of fear or jealousy or envy or hatred or just point blank ignorance is in America. As a matter of fact, it appears that the greatest threat is felt by people in America. And then they have the nerve to turn around and ask me why I want to leave America. You see, I believe that this crop of Black folks has become so contaminated and has let itself descend so far down the ladder of what it used to be, that taking you anywhere in the world would be like taking a virus, like COVID-19 caught a ride on a plane. So what I have to do is I have to sift and shift and shake and bake to eliminate all of the impurities. And people will say, well, what do you mean by impurities? It is your mind that determines whether or not you're fit to exist in a new Black nation. There's another story about a group of people that, all praises to the Most High, gave this privilege to be his chosen people, tried to give them a place of their own, tried to give them the ability to determine their own destiny, even gave them a couple of rules to live by. Found out that his creation needed a little bit of work. Then he found out that he could not upgrade this particular creation. He couldn't give it a brand new set of instructions, so he decided that you'll never ever see the promised land. You'll never get to your utopia. You'll never get to your Wakanda as long as you have people in your camp, or people in your nation, or people in your group. So he had to wait for them to die. And they walked around in a circle for 40 years, 9 miles. He didn't go nowhere, just walking around long enough so all of the people with those old school mentalities were dead and gone. And roll the clock ahead 2,500 years, and here we are. And we're in the same boat again. There is a need for us to leave. Y'all know it. But there's a whole group of you all who are not fit to leave. There's a whole group of y'all you're not eligible to leave by your own doing. And some of y'all know that. You know it. So rather than get on board the program, you rather devote all your energy to make everybody stay here, because misery loves some company. Loves company. You ever heard somebody who they ain't got shit going right for them? They have nothing that they can be proud of. They don't care about themselves. And so they don't care about you. So they always telling you they don't need to try and do that. That's lost cause. I don't even know why we're going down that way. Now they always got some negative to say. Anytime you bring up, but what about, well, what if we try this? What if we do that? Always got something negative to say. Always, always, always. I'm on my morning mental right now. They always got something negative to say. You know the crazy part about people who got something negative to say? I have a rule. You can tell me something negative as long as you bring something positive with it. I had a friend of mine that used to get me to play this game. They would say, before you open your mouth and talk about a person, say something nice first. And a lot of people, they couldn't do that. So if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. So we used to have to keep something nice in the back of our head about that person. Grandma used to tell you ain't got nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all. Then some of us, we remember, they used to play this game when I was in school. They would take two people and sit them in front of each other. These people probably had an argument or disagreement. And they would sit them in front of each other and they would say, now, tell him 5 good things you like about him. And then they tell the other person, you tell him 5 good things you like about the other person. And then, after that, they could tell them the negative things. And people would sit there and they would struggle. They would struggle to just say one nice thing about a person, or, not one positive thing. They couldn't, because they were born into an atmosphere that has caused them to do nothing but focus on the negative. The reason they can't say anything positive is not that they're trying to be an asshole. They don't know how. The same way there's a lot of people who think that the hardest thing for someone to say is, I'm sorry. Well, I don't agree with that anymore. I think the hardest thing for people to admit is, I was wrong. See, we all have the ability to be wrong. And when you start running around acting like people cannot be wrong, you make a fatal mistake, because that means that you're assuming that you have the market cornered on being right, like you are never wrong. I heard somebody say that I love how people in their ignorance think that they can separate the fruit from the tree. I find that amazing. Let me help a few people out, because y'all confused this morning on the morning mental. The NFAC was my idea, nobody else's. That idea was given to me by Yahweh. That idea was given to me after studying the scriptures. That idea was given to me after examining our current state. That idea was given, notice I say was given to me. And what God, Yahweh, Yahuwah, whatever you choose to call him, gives you a vision. He also gives you provision. He's not going to give you an idea and not give you the means to pull off the idea. You understand what I'm saying? So when he gave me this idea, he also gave me the provision to pull it off, the people to pull it off, and everything that he gave me the idea to bring into fruition. Can I teach a little bit? So I listened to that and I did what he asked. And it's funny to me because you people in your pettiness, and you people in your short-sightedness, and you people in your failure to show yourself study and approve, you don't read the scriptures. Matter of fact, a lot of y'all still stuck in the slave master's Bible. But you don't read it. You claim to be a member of a group, and you think just because you're a member of that group that somehow that's going to give you a ticket into what's coming. It will not. We're all finding out that before you can claim to be a member of a group, you have to be able to stand as an individual and you can represent that group. But many of you cannot. You've lost the ability to rise to the standards of those groups. You embarrass the name of some of the very groups that you claim to be members of. You embarrass yourself in front of the Creator. You embarrass yourself in front of those of us that are studying. You embarrass yourself in front of our enemies. You don't think you have enemies, do you? Yes, you do. So I'm going to talk to. I'm going to spend this morning and write an open letter. Mm-hmm. And the name of that letter is Dear Enemy. Dear Enemy. Dear Enemy. I think that I speak for a great sum of people who tune into my lives. Those of y'all who still haven't been distracted by the BS. Those of y'all who know how to stay focused on the prize. It's my morning mentor. I wish you all a grand rising and welcome. Get your day started, give you something to think about. Who are the enemies and what should you say to them? So I'm going to break down the enemies very quickly. You see, I don't look at you in your current state. I look at you in where you came from. And I know a lot of you all come from some of these groups. You're just walking around and you think you're grown now, but you're still big kids because your behavior is childish. When you run up against an adult, a true adult, someone who is seasoned, wisdom, wise, experienced, and resolute in what they're going to do, your response is to act like a child. And many of us know people in our lives that as soon as something happens, they act like a child. Oh, they're consumed under childishness. When you call them on it, they either get quiet or they do something even more childish because they don't know better. Some of them do. The first group of people that I probably would have put at the top of know thy enemies when it comes to Black people is the white man. That creature is your worst enemy. And here's why. He's your worst enemy because he doesn't understand you. He doesn't understand us. He never did. That's why he's always trying to conduct a study, because he's trying to figure out that which he is not. Everything that he aspires to be, we already are. Everything that he wishes he could be, we already are. So because he can't do that, in fear of the unknown, and let's go ahead and add laziness, ignorance, and stupidity on top of that, he would devote all his time to being a thorn in the side of us. He would always spend his time wanting to highlight our negativity. He will always, and in the ancient days, they had a term, and it was written, beware of the wild man. Mm-hmm. The wild man from the north who causes nothing but mischievous and dissension and war and destruction. Beware of the wild man. I didn't write this. So you can go and learn and study for yourself. They were declared to be our lifelong enemy. That's what's written. Just because you've forgotten it doesn't mean it's not true anymore. Black man is speaking right now on the morning mental. And so whenever you see these white men, and it's not all of them, some of them have strived to control their hatred and so forth. They've tried to work along, and some of them really believe that, well, maybe we can work some things out. But that's not the case. In America, as I explained to you, most of our problems today that we see come from right here, homegrown. So I have to focus first that we have to remember. And people say, well, he's calling us an enemy. Where's the lie? Actions speak louder than words, right? You see, I'm not going to be like a lot of my predecessors and just sit there and keep telling you that which you already know. You know what you've done. You know what you did. You know what you're doing. Cut this shit short. We on the morning method. So the next time you're out, my folks, and you find yourself in a situation with one of these people, always remember that they're being kind to you by choice. But if they had their way, they would be anything but kind to you. So that is why when white males come into the presence of this particular brother, they always want to say something out their mouth negative. They never have anything positive because they feel that if they enhance the negative, the positive, that we eventually will come after them. The truth of the matter is we're not thinking about y'all. We just want to do our own thing without you. That's okay. It's not going to hurt. Well, it might hurt you if we do our own thing without you, because without us, your society really would collapse. And nobody wants to admit that. Black folks, they don't like you, but they don't want you to go nowhere. It's a love-hate relationship. If we were to pick up and leave and take all of our culture and all of our finances and everything we had with us, especially our most valuable asset, children, their society would be completely different than it is. Okay. All right, y'all. So we're going to be interrupted this morning on the morning mental because I have an interview that's on the other side of the globe that I have to jump on. I will be back in about a half an hour. I just wanted to get the flavor set. And then, of course, if you're keeping up with us getting the word out about the NFAC and what we're doing as far as moving within the nation to try to build a nation, and you know that that's something that involves me having conversations with other countries. And right now, I'm going to bounce to the other side of the planet and join someone on the TV show so we can talk a little bit about how we're going to take the UNIA and the AU and all these other agencies and bring them back together so that they can begin to support Pan-African alliances that are building behind us, that we hope the folks in the United States can get their heads together to be a part of. You see, you cannot walk into an organization just based on the color of your skin when we know that the content of your character is non-existent. So remember, I'll be back with my list because I don't fault the white boys for being white boys. They never changed. But I do fault black people for being the black people that you are today because you did change. Even though the things you want have not. Power move. Let me go make another one. I shall return in 30 minutes. This is part one. The morning mental. The enemy. Do you know him? The enemy. Do you know him? See y'all when I get back.